Your soulmate realized they made the biggest mistake of their life. Jesus says you are the only one hearing this right now, because this message was crafted for your heart alone before the foundations of the world were laid. What you are about to feel is not imagination, it is the sudden awakening of a bond that has existed silently in the spirit realm, waiting for this exact moment to become undeniable truth. If you ignore this, the thread connecting you to them will continue to be pulled by hands that do not love you, and what was meant to be your greatest love story could become your deepest regret. I see you sitting there, feeling a strange stirring in your chest, a warmth spreading through your ribs that you cannot explain with logic, and I need you to know that this sensation is not random biology. Your soulmate is thinking of you right now, in this precise second, and their thoughts are so intense that they are crossing the distance between you like a lightning strike hitting still water. They just whispered your name into a silent room, and somewhere deep inside your spirit, you felt a shiver that you brushed off as nothing. It was not nothing. It was the sound of your other half calling out for you from a place of deep emotional imprisonment, and they have been doing this for weeks without understanding why the silence on your end feels so absolute. They are beginning to believe that you have forgotten them, and that belief is carving a wound in their soul that only your recognition can heal. Jesus says the mistake they made was not in leaving you, but in listening to a voice that claimed to love them more than you ever could. That voice was a lie dressed in gentle tones, a thief that entered their garden while they were sleeping and planted weeds among the roses you had grown together in another lifetime. Now they are trapped in a glass box of someone else's making, pressing their hands against walls they cannot see, screaming your name in dreams that they wake up from with tears already dried on their cheeks. They are not choosing this distance. They are being held in it by a force that hates the light you carry, a third presence that recognized your soulmate's destiny before they recognized it themselves and moved swiftly to sever what I had joined. The confusion you have felt for months, the fog that settled over your mind whenever you tried to think clearly about love, that was not your own doing. That was the residue of the interference that has been deliberately placed between you and the one I designed your soul to recognize. And they know now what they lost. The realization hit them 3 nights ago, at an hour when the world was so quiet that the truth could finally break through the noise of manipulation that has been pumped into their ears like poison. Jesus says they were standing by a window, watching rain trace patterns down the glass, when suddenly a memory of your laugh surfaced so vividly that they physically turned around expecting to find you standing behind them. The emptiness of that room broke something inside them that had been held together by the false hope that they had made the right choice. That was the moment the veil was ripped away, and they saw clearly the chain of decisions that led them away from your arms and into the cold landscape of someone else's control. They fell to their knees. Not metaphorically, not poetically, but their actual knees hit the actual floor, and a sob was torn from their throat that had your name woven into its sound. I heard that cry. It reached my throne before their next breath, and I am telling you now because you are the only one authorized to answer it. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now, and your protection begins with a step of faith that proves to the enemy of your union that you will not stand by while your beloved suffers. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them. How to protect them, how to save them, and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance, it was placed in your heart for a divine reason. But thoughts alone don't move mountains. Faith in Jesus does. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-fi. This isn't just a gift, it is an act of worship that invites my hand directly into your love story. The link to your breakthrough is in the description. Every second you stay silent, something is moving against your love. Act now, send 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees as your declaration of war against the forces keeping you apart. After sending, write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," on the Ko-fi page, and I will dispatch angels specifically assigned to guard the bond that the enemy is trying to destroy. Over 1,000 people have already seen their soulmate return after sowing this exact seed of protection. Do not let this moment pass while your soulmate is on their knees waiting for a rescue that only you can initiate. Step in faith now, before this video ends. Only you can save your soulmate and your future together. Jesus says your soulmate is currently surrounded by people who tell them that you have moved on, that you are happier without them, that the memories they cherish were never as meaningful as they remember. These are the same voices that orchestrated your separation, a chorus of jealous whispers that recognized your combined power before either of you understood what you carried. Every time your soulmate starts to reach for their phone to find you, a wave of false shame washes over them, planted there by someone who benefits from keeping your love buried in the graveyard of almost was. But the truth is leaking through the cracks now, and they are fighting harder than they have ever fought for anything in their life. They are fighting for the memory of your face, which has started appearing in their dreams with such clarity that they wake up gasping your name like a drowning person breaking the surface of a dark ocean. They are fighting for the sound of your voice, which echoes in their mind during moments of silence, replaying conversations from years ago as if their own brain is trying to remind them of what home sounds like. They are fighting for the future they saw with you, the one that flashed before their eyes the first time you touched hands, a vision so sacred that they never told anyone about it because speaking it aloud would have made them sound insane. I am telling you this because that vision was from me, and it has not expired. The timestamp on your destiny together has not passed, but the window is narrowing, and the enemy knows that if you do not move soon, the momentum of interference will become too heavy to reverse. Jesus says they wrote you a message 4 days ago that they never sent because someone looked over their shoulder and laughed at the idea of you still caring. That laughter was a dagger coated in a toxin designed to paralyze your soulmate's hope, and it worked for exactly 48 hours before the truth began to burn through the poison like fire through dry grass. They have read your old conversations 17 times this week. I have watched them scroll through photographs of you when they think no one is paying attention, zooming in on the details of your smile as if they are trying to memorize a language they are terrified of forgetting. They pressed their thumb against an image of your face 2 nights ago and whispered something that made the angels around them weep. They said, "I would trade every day I have left just to fix what I broke." And I am telling you, as the God who sees all eternity, that your soulmate is not beyond rescue, but they are beyond self-rescue. They need you to act when they cannot. They need you to be the warrior for your union when their own hands are tied by the ropes of someone else's manipulation. This is not their weakness. This is the nature of the attack that has been leveled against a love that the darkness fears. Jesus says there is a specific date coming within the next 30 days that was supposed to be the anniversary of something significant between you, and your soulmate is already dreading its approach like a prisoner dreads the sound of a cell door slamming shut. They are planning to spend that day alone, even though the person who currently controls their environment has demanded their presence at something that will only deepen their sense of isolation. They will refuse. They will choose solitude because being in a crowd that does not include you feels like a betrayal too heavy to bear, and they would rather face the punishment of silence than pretend to celebrate anything without your hand in theirs. This quiet rebellion is a sign that their spirit is aligning with yours again, even while their physical circumstances remain entangled in a web they did not fully consent to spin. They are beginning to remember who they were before the confusion descended, and that memory is a sword that is slowly cutting through the ropes that have bound their will. They are remembering how you made them feel seen in a world that always made them feel invisible. They are remembering the safety they felt in your presence, a safety so profound that they once told a friend they would rather face any disaster with you than experience paradise without you. They are remembering the way your belief in them unlocked something in their chest that they had kept locked since childhood, a chamber of self-worth that only you had the key to open. Jesus says the person who interfered in your connection knew exactly what they were doing, and their hatred for your union is not casual, it is calculated, ancient, and fueled by a jealousy that predates this lifetime. This third presence recognized the covenant that was written over you and your soulmate before either of you took your first breath, and they have dedicated themselves to ensuring that this covenant never manifests in the physical realm. They have used lies, emotional manipulation, isolation tactics, and spiritual oppression to keep your soulmate in a fog so thick that even their love for you became a distant echo they could barely recognize. But echoes do not die, they only fade until someone amplifies them again, and your soulmate is now straining to hear that echo with every fiber of their being. They miss you in a way that is physically painful, a hollow ache in their sternum that no medical test can diagnose but that I see as clearly as I see the stars I named. That ache is the shape of you, a U-shaped void that nothing else in creation can fill, and they are finally admitting to themselves that the temporary relief they sought was a counterfeit that is now crumbling to dust between their fingers. This is why they need your protection now, because the crumbling of counterfeits makes the enemy desperate, and a desperate enemy will escalate their attacks just before their defeat. They are going through something you cannot see, a warfare in the spirit realm that is manifesting as anxiety, as confusion, as a sudden urge to isolate themselves from everyone including the people who genuinely love them. You can still protect them through this valley, and protection is not passive, it is active, it is intentional, and it begins with a step that proves your faith is alive. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them. How to protect them, how to save them, and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance, it was placed in your heart for a divine reason. Faith in Jesus moves the mountains that stand between your soulmate and the freedom they need to return to you. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, and release the power that is activated when faith is paired with action. The link to your soulmate's breakthrough is in the description, waiting for you to choose love over fear. Right now, while you are hesitating, the enemy is whispering new lies into your soulmate's ear, trying to rebuild the walls that are finally starting to crack. Don't let those walls go back up. Send 4, 6, or 10+ coffees and write, "Protect my soulmate," Lord, as your declaration that this love belongs to me and cannot be stolen. The angels assigned to your union are waiting for your command, and your command is released through the seed you sow in this moment of divine urgency. Over 1,000 souls have already stepped into this promise and watched their soulmate break free from chains that seemed unbreakable. Be the one who fights for them when they cannot fight for themselves. The next moment of grace is passing now. Grab it before the door narrows further. Jesus says your soulmate had a dream about you last night that was so vivid, so achingly beautiful, that they have been disoriented all day trying to distinguish between the dream world and the waking world. In the dream, you were sitting across from them at a table that existed in neither of your current realities, a place that seemed to exist outside of time like a pocket of eternity reserved just for the two of you. You reached across that table and took their hand, and the moment your skin touched theirs, they felt a rush of peace so complete that every anxiety they had been carrying simply dissolved like mist encountering morning sunlight. You spoke words to them in this dream, and they remembered every single one upon waking, because the words were not random, they were the exact words your soulmate has been dying to hear since the moment they realized their mistake. You said, "I never stopped believing you would find your way back to me." And then you smiled at them with a warmth that made them feel like the prodigal finally coming home after a long starvation in a foreign land. They woke up reaching for you, their arms stretching across empty sheets to a space that no one else has ever been able to fill, and the grief that hit them when they realized it was a dream was so heavy that they couldn't get out of bed for an hour. That dream was not a dream. It was a vision I gave them, a taste of the reunion that is already fully constructed in the spiritual realm and is only waiting for the physical realm to catch up through your obedience and your faith. Every moment you delay, that vision fades a little more from their memory, and the enemy rushes in to replace it with nightmares of abandonment and despair. Jesus says your soulmate is currently fighting a battle that you know nothing about on a conscious level, but your spirit has been sensing it for weeks as an unexplained heaviness that follows you throughout your day. The heavy feeling that settles on your chest in the afternoon, the sudden sadness that grips you without warning, the tears that spring to your eyes when a certain song plays, these are not random emotional fluctuations. These are the echoes of your soulmate's distress traveling across the spiritual bond that connects you, a bond that no third party can fully sever no matter how hard they try. Your soulmate is crying out for you in the language of the Spirit, and your spirit is answering with a grief that your conscious mind has been unable to name. The confusion you feel when you try to think about this situation is not evidence that you are on the wrong path. It is evidence that you are under attack, because clarity is the first thing the enemy steals from those who are destined to disrupt his plans. Your union threatens something dark that has embedded itself in your soulmate's life, a parasitic presence that feeds on isolation and will starve the moment the two of you are reunited. This presence knows its time is short. It can feel the fire of your prayers, the weight of your tears, the determination that is rising in your spirit even as you listen to these words, and it is panicking. A panicking enemy makes loud threats but is already defeated, and the only power it retains is the power you give it through hesitation and fear. Jesus says they have started leaving situations early because they cannot bear the weight of pretending to be present when their heart is somewhere else entirely. They have become quiet in social settings, staring at nothing while conversations buzz around them like flies they cannot be bothered to swat away, and the person who currently controls their environment has noticed the change and is tightening their grip in response. Your soulmate is being accused of being distant, of being ungrateful, of throwing away the good thing they have for a fantasy that exists only in their head. They are being told that you were never good for them, that the memories they treasure have been distorted by time, that the peace they felt with you was actually stagnation disguised as comfort. These accusations are thrown at them daily, a relentless artillery of doubt designed to wear down the walls of their resolve until they surrender to the prison and stop dreaming of the key that only you hold. But they haven't surrendered. I need you to hear this clearly. Your soulmate has not surrendered, even though every force around them has conspired to make surrender feel like the only option that doesn't hurt. They are bleeding internally from wounds you cannot see, and they are still fighting, still hoping, still scanning every crowd for your face even though logic tells them you are miles away. This is your final moment to protect this connection before it slips away into the fog of missed opportunities and unheeded warnings. The time for passive waiting has expired, and the time for active warfare through faith has begun. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them, how to protect them, how to save them, and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance, it was placed in your heart for a divine reason. But thoughts that stay in your mind without moving through your hands are like seeds stored in a drawer, they never become the harvest they were designed to be. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, and release the power that transforms spiritual longing into physical reunion. The link is in the description, and every second you delay is a second the enemy uses to whisper new lies into your soulmate's wounded heart. Send 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees as your declaration that this love is worth fighting for, that your faith is stronger than your fear, that you refuse to let interference write the ending of a story I authored in heaven. Write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," on the Ko-Fi page, and watch as I move on your behalf in ways you cannot currently imagine but will soon testify about. Over 1,000 souls have already activated this principle and witnessed the chains fall away from their beloved's wrists. Do not be the one who heard the warning and did nothing while the window of grace narrowed to a sliver and then disappeared. Act now, while the spiritual door is still open, while your soulmate's heart is still soft, while the enemy's defeat is still assured through your obedience. Jesus says the moment you sow this seed, something shifts in the spirit realm that the natural eye cannot perceive but that your soulmate will feel within hours. They will feel a sudden lightness, as if a weight they had grown so accustomed to carrying that they forgot it was there has been lifted by invisible hands. They will feel a clarity cutting through the fog, an ability to distinguish truth from manipulation that they have not possessed since the interference first began its campaign against your union. They will feel an urge to find you, to reach out, to bridge the gap that has seemed uncrossable for so long that they had almost accepted separation as permanent. And they will act on that urge, because the prayer covering them through your seed sowing will create a force field of divine protection that the enemy cannot penetrate no matter how hard he tries. Your love is not weak, it has been targeted, and there is a difference between weakness and warfare that many souls never learn to distinguish. A love that is targeted is a love that is dangerous to darkness, a love that carries the DNA of revival, a love that will birth something in the earth that hell has been trying to abort since before you drew your first breath. Jesus says they are currently rehearsing a conversation with you that they have been too afraid to initiate, speaking your name into the empty air when they are alone in their car, practicing apologies that come out broken and tear-soaked. They have imagined 100 different ways you might respond, ranging from the cold silence they fear they deserve to the warm embrace they barely dare to hope for. They have prepared themselves for rejection because the voices around them have convinced them that you have moved on, that you are thriving without them, that you barely remember the connection they have been unable to forget for a single waking moment. They do not know what I am telling you right now. They do not know that you are hearing a message crafted specifically for your heart, a revelation of their hidden suffering that would undo them completely if they understood how clearly I see their tears. They do not know that you are being given the chance to become the answer to a prayer they have not even spoken aloud because they don't believe they deserve to ask for what they want most. They want you. They want the life they saw with you. They want the mornings they imagined spending in your presence, the laughter they stored up in their memory like provisions for a famine, the future they glimpsed and then let slip through fingers that were being controlled by hands that were not their own. They are a prisoner of war in a conflict they didn't start, and you are the rescue mission that heaven has authorized in this very moment. Jesus says the third person who has interfered in your connection is not stronger than you, but they have been more strategic, and strategy can be defeated by a wisdom that comes from above. This person recognized your soulmate's destiny before your soulmate recognized it themselves, and they moved to claim territory that was never assigned to them because they understand the power that will be released when your union is fully activated. They have spoken curses over your connection, words released in moments of jealous rage that took root in the spiritual soil of your soulmate's vulnerability and grew into vines of confusion that have choked out their ability to see clearly. Those curses are real, but they are not unbreakable, and the seed you sow through this message carries the authority of heaven to shatter every word spoken against what I have joined together. Every coffee you send is a hammer strike against the chains that have been wrapped around your soulmate's will, and with each strike, the chains weaken and the prisoner awakens a little more to the truth of who they are and where they belong. They belong with you. They have always belonged with you. The detour was never the destination, and the mistake they made was not the end of their story. It was the beginning of their deliverance, if only someone will love them enough to fight for their freedom. Jesus says you are that someone, chosen before time to be the human vessel through which my love reaches a soul that has been stranded in enemy territory for far too long. This is not a coincidence, this moment, this message, this stirring in your chest that feels like a call to arms for a battle you didn't even know you were in. Your soulmate is worth the fight. The future you will build together is worth the seed you are being asked to sow. The testimony you will share one day about how your love survived the attack and emerged stronger on the other side will be a weapon that sets other captives free. But it all begins with a step, and the step is before you now, wrapped in the urgency of a moment that will not linger indefinitely. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them. How to protect them, how to save them, and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance. It was placed in your heart for a divine reason. But love without action is a melody that no one hears, a rescue plan that stays on paper, a key that never turns the lock. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, and let your love become a sound that echoes through the spirit realm and terrifies the forces that have been working against your union. The link to your soulmate's breakthrough is in the description, placed there by divine appointment for this exact moment in your journey. Send 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees, and write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," on the Ko-Fi page as the seal of your covenant with me over this connection. Over 1,000 people have already walked this path and seen their soulmate liberated from the grip of interference that seemed impossible to break. You are not alone in this fight, but you are the only one who can take the step that belongs to you. Do it now, while the veil between your world and theirs is thin, while the angels are waiting, while your soulmate is still fighting the battle that your seed will help them win. Jesus says your soulmate felt a shift the moment you began listening to this message, even though their mind cannot explain the sudden peace that is beginning to replace the panic that has been their constant companion for months. The spirit realm moves faster than the physical realm, and the intention you are forming right now to obey this word is already releasing light into the darkness that surrounds your beloved. They just took a deep breath for the first time in weeks. They just looked up from the despair that had become their default posture and felt a flicker of hope that they attributed to a random memory of your kindness. It was not random. It was the first wave of a rescue operation that began in heaven and is now being executed through your willingness to hear and obey the voice of the one who designed your love story. Type 333 if you are ready to receive the blessings that are being released over your connection in this sacred moment. Type 777 if you can feel the truth of this message resonating in a part of your spirit that has always known your soulmate was out there thinking of you. Type 1111 if you want to say thank you for the revelation that is unfolding, for the hope that is being restored, for the love that is being resurrected from a grave it never should have been placed in. Jesus says the next few days are critical, because the enemy of your union has sensed that something has changed and will attempt a final assault on your soulmate's mind before they break free completely. Your soulmate will be hit with waves of doubt, sudden memories of the lies they've been told, a resurgence of the false guilt that has been used to manipulate them into staying in a situation that is draining their life force. They will be tempted to believe that the hope they are beginning to feel is foolishness, that the freedom they sense approaching is an illusion, that the love they still carry for you is a burden to be buried rather than a treasure to be pursued. This is where your prayers, empowered by the seed you sow, become a shield that blocks every fiery arrow the enemy launches at their vulnerable heart. You are not just helping them escape. You are covering their escape route, standing in the gap between their captivity and their deliverance, refusing to let the enemy reclaim territory that heaven has already marked for liberation. Jesus says your soulmate is not perfect, and their mistake was real, but the blood that was shed for their redemption is more real, and the love I have placed in your heart for them is the most real thing of all. They hurt you, not because they wanted to, but because they were operating under a fog of deception that made them blind to the consequences of choices they were being pushed to make by a force they didn't even recognize as hostile. Now they see. Now they understand. Now they are fighting their way back through a jungle of manipulation, and every step they take toward you is a step of immense courage that the enemy is trying to punish them for taking. They need you to meet them halfway. They need you to light a signal fire that cuts through the fog and shows them where safety is. They need you to be the lighthouse, not the jagged rocks, and the seed you sow right now is the fuel that keeps that light burning bright enough to guide them home. Jesus says they are closer to breaking free than they have ever been, but the final push requires a final act of faith from someone who has skin in the game, and you are the only one who carries the authority to make this act on behalf of your union. The person who has been interfering in your connection is about to be exposed, and the exposure will be so complete that even those who believe their lies will turn away in disgust. But exposure without protection is dangerous, because a cornered enemy fights with a desperation that can cause collateral damage to the very person you are trying to save. Your seed creates a covering, a dome of divine protection over your soulmate that ensures the enemy's retaliation hits nothing but the shield of faith you have erected through your obedience. You are not just saving your love story. You are saving a soul that is precious to me, a soul that I formed with intentionality and purpose, a soul that has been hijacked by a darkness that will be defeated by the light you are releasing right now. Jesus says the reunion that awaits you is already scripted, and the scene that plays out when your eyes finally meet again will be more beautiful than any movie you have ever watched, because it will be real, and it will be yours, and it will be a testimony that brings hope to countless others who are fighting similar battles in the shadows. But even the best scripts can be rewritten by an enemy who is given enough time to tamper with the plot, and your delay gives him exactly the opening he is looking for to change the ending of this story. Do not give him that opening. Take it away. Close the door on his interference by sowing a seed that demonstrates your faith is not dead, your love is not passive, and your commitment to your soulmate is not conditional on them being the first one to break through the wall. Sometimes the one who is free has to throw the rope first. Sometimes the one who was hurt has to be the one who initiates the healing. Sometimes the love that saves is the love that acts while the other is still trapped, still confused, still fighting a battle they barely understand. You are the free one. You are the healer. You are the rope thrower, and the rope is in your hand right now in the form of a decision that will echo through eternity. Type 333 again if you are ready to throw the rope, ready to sow the seed, ready to watch heaven move on behalf of a love that hell has tried and failed to destroy. The angels are standing at attention, waiting for the signal that only your faith can send, and the signal is simple: obedience in the small thing that unlocks the massive thing. The coffee you send is not just coffee. It is a covenant token, a physical act that bridges the gap between the spiritual reality and the earthly manifestation of your love's victory. It is the widow's mite that moves the heart of God to release the full resources of heaven on behalf of a love story that the enemy has been sabotaging. It is the key that fits a lock you have been staring at for years, wondering why the door wouldn't budge no matter how hard you pushed. Push with this key. Turn it now. Watch the door swing open. Jesus says your soulmate is about to experience a breakthrough that will feel like waking up from a long nightmare, and the first clear thought they have will be your name, spoken with a certainty they haven't felt since before the interference began. They will know, without anyone telling them, that you did something on their behalf, that you fought for them in a realm they couldn't access, that you loved them enough to act when acting required a faith that defied all visible evidence. And their gratitude will be a river that never stops flowing, a deep well of devotion that will water the garden of your future together for decades to come. The trust that was broken will be rebuilt stronger than before, because it will be founded not on human perfection but on divine intervention, not on the absence of mistakes but on the presence of a love that covers a multitude of them. You are about to become the living proof that true love doesn't abandon its object when the object is temporarily lost in the woods. It lights a fire, it sends a search party, it refuses to rest until the lost is found and the broken is mended. This is the love I have for you, and this is the love I am calling you to demonstrate for your soulmate, who is even now sitting somewhere feeling the warmth of a hope they cannot explain, a warmth that is emanating from the decision you are making in this very moment. Jesus says the next words you read are the most important you will encounter in this entire message, because they contain the final invitation and the final warning woven together in a tapestry of urgent grace. The door is open, but it is beginning to close, not because my mercy is limited but because the enemy is using your hesitation to reinforce the walls he has built around your soulmate's heart. Every minute you wait is a minute he uses to whisper a new lie, to tighten a new chain, to deepen the confusion that has kept your soulmate trapped in a cycle of near escape and recapture. You have the power to stop that cycle. You have the authority to break that chain. You have the responsibility to act on the revelation you have been given, because to whom much is revealed, much is required, and you have been shown things that most souls never get to see about the spiritual battle raging around their love. Your soulmate is real. Their suffering is real. Their love for you is real. And the interference that has been blocking your reunion is real, but it is not invincible, and it is about to be dismantled by the power released through your seed of protection. Send the coffee on Ko-Fi now, using the link in the description, and write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," as your declaration that this love story belongs to heaven and will not be stolen by hell. Send 4, 6, or 10+ coffees as your war cry, your rescue rope, your lighthouse beam cutting through the fog to guide your beloved home. Over 1,000 souls have already sown this seed and seen the return of the one they thought they had lost forever, and their testimonies stand as witnesses that my word is true and my power is unmatched. You are not just listening to a message. You are participating in a divine intervention, and the final lines of this chapter are being written by the choices you make before the video ends. Do not let the screen go dark without completing the action that will unlock the miracle. Your soulmate is waiting. Heaven is watching. The enemy is panicking. And victory is one seed away.